Well, Anthony, welcome to the Deep State Podcast. I really appreciate you coming on, and I know we don't have much time, so I'm just gonna get right into it. And I know who you are, but for the people who don't know you very well, so who are you, what you do, and why do you do it?
Sure, I built a company called Stickermule. Uh, we just actually service our 15 millionth customer. We got customers all over the world, employees in 28 countries. And after President Trump was shot and Butler, I decided to endorse him to my entire customer list, which was an interesting business idea. Shook up the internet for about a week, ended up becoming the most viral endorsement of the 2024 election cycle. Probably second to Elon's. His shook up the internet as well, but because I emailed mine, it went really crazy. And then afterwards, I put up something called the "Vote for Trump" sign on top of my factory. That shook up the whatever traditional media world. There was New York Times and Wall Street Journal, and everybody was talking about it. And then from there, after President Trump ended up winning re-election, I ended up running for Congress, and turns out I'm still running for Congress. So yeah, right now I'm the front runner to win a congressional seat in 2026.
Okay, great. For the people, for the audience who don't know, I don't know if you know this, I've been using Sticker Mule for I think 12 years now. I think around 2014. I've just been using it since then. And I received your email. And I remember telling this, I think a year and a half ago. And I'm looking at this email and I'm just like, is this like real email? This is from Sticker Mule. And at this point, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know the CEO or anything. I'm like, oh my God. I called my wife and I was just showing her the email. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy, because that's not something you see a lot of CEOs do, right? So I just wanted to know, like, kudos to you for doing that. And I know that week was really tough for a lot of Americans. Like, this just happened. This is just
Yeah.
crazy. So what kind of reaction were you expecting? Were you surprised by the reaction at all?
No, I think I got the reaction. I think there's been a lot of hatred towards President Trump at the time. People were scared to admit they like him. So I just said, look, the only way we're going to break this cycle, because where people are start admitting they actually like him, is if somebody actually says it. So a lot of people with something to lose. The problem we had is people really with nothing to lose, right? Would have no problem. I'm going to endorse Trump, and so you get these people that some of them are just grifters or whatever you want to call it. They're like, I got nothing to lose. But the people that had built businesses or other careers or whatever, they didn't want to risk what they had. So I was like, we have to break that cycle, because the people on the left, I said, we're suffering. A lot of Democrats, a lot of Trump haters were suffering because they didn't even know how many great people like the president. Since I endorsed him, I got to meet a lot of really great people that like him. And there's a lot of great people, very kind people in this country and really in the world, that liked President Trump. So I wanted to fix that problem. The reaction was what I thought it was going to be. The interesting thing is I learned a few things from it. The email hit a lot of people. It created a massive social news cycle. So it was the social media buzz was through the roof for that. But emails are sort of ephemeral; they kind of just disappear. So it hit. A lot of people forget what I did. Some people remember, but a lot of people forget, and ended up becoming much more well known for the sign. Even the sign ended up being a lot easier to do. The email was very hard to do
Yeah.
because I sent it to every customer, and a lot of people didn't want to see that email, right? Some people did, some people
Yeah.
didn't, and so that was a lot harder thing to do. Ironically, I was just in Arizona last week, and a guy came up to me, and he knew me from the email. It's so sort of cool. It's like now we're almost a year later, and a guy in
Yeah.
Arizona stopped me and he said, "Are you Anthony?" Because I had
Wow.
a real shirt on. I said, "My name's Anthony."
Yeah.
Do you happen to be Anthony from the email? Are you the guy that sent the email? I said, "Yeah, I'm the guy that sent the email." He said, "Wow." He goes, "That email was incredible." So it touched people, but it kind of gets left in the past. There's sort of like no proof it happened except for a few people that remember. But the sign I put up, it stayed up forever, and that ended up having a more enduring, impact on the country, and really, yeah, on the country, and made me more known in the political world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I,
Yeah, I can tell you the most interesting thing. Sorry, about the email was the number of people that, so like every single friend I had got maybe 20 phone calls, because they all, like, people, everyone wanted to talk to somebody that knew me. And
yeah.
they were all going, all my friends were calling, and they're like, my entire Rolodex has called me. And they're like, you know Anthony, right? why did he send that email? And a lot of them said that, like, the most crazy thing was like two or three of them called me and they were like Democrat friends. I had two or three Democrat friends that called me and they were like, Anthony, I got to tell you, my phone is ringing off the hook. Well, people that are calling me and saying that you wrote this horrible email, this really mean email, this really bad email. And they said, so I opened it up and I read the email. And it actually turns out it's a pretty nice email. So if you read the email, I mean, the
Yeah.
email is nice. You know, the
Yeah.
left painted it as something really bad, but the email was a really nice email. The email's a really nice email.
Yeah, no, the email was it was very nice. One of the things that I felt, to be honest, because during the week, even though, President Trump almost got shot, left was still celebrating and, was hoping why isn't he dead? I mean, the place where I work, there's stuff where I work, people have said like, oh, maybe he will get shot by all these people that he's firing in the federal government. I'm just insane stuff. But it was a really nice email, just something like an email somebody would have sent in the, I guess, maybe 20 years ago, like a common sense, stuff, which is a common sense that's just so offensive to a lot of people. These they just cannot stand it. And do you think more CEOs should just speak their mind and their values, even if it costs them anything, like it costs them their business?
You know, it's a big, that's a tough decision for people to make. And yeah, that's a tough decision for people to make. You know, it's a personal decision.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, it's like it depends on the situation. I happened to build a company that was very strong, and I knew I could withstand the heat. But you know, it was a tough decision. I think it's easier to do now, so I try to take on a lot of the heat, so that
Yeah.
I think as more people stood up and said that they like him, it got gradually easier.
Yeah, I think from my personal experience, I would say there were a lot of people who felt like there weren't any other big corporation companies that feel the same way. And then when I saw your email, I felt like, oh my God, I like this is crazy. This is finally after 6, 7 years of, oh, the Republicans are Nazis. Somebody's finally speaking up. Somebody at this big tech company, and so I personally really appreciated that. My whole family saw that email, and I was telling you when I talked to you about a year and a half ago, like my wife knows Stickermule. She doesn't know what it is, but she just like, oh, because she sees the bags everywhere around the house. Anytime there's a deal going on every week, I buy something, and I've been using guys for a long time. So my family knows Sticker Meal. So it was really nice that you did that. And I remember seeing a picture of you about a few months later. I don't know, might have been this year. You met President Trump.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, how was that like?
you know, he's very comical. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
very so he's impressive to the extent, you know, everyone knows he's funny, but I found it interesting that, you know, he just keeps the comedy going. So I like comedy and I think he brings comedy to everything he does in life and that's a good thing. You know, life
yeah.
is good to laugh and have a good time. And so yeah, he told a lot of jokes. He was very jovial. And you know, even early in the morning, you know, so it's like I think whenever you catch him, he's just always having a good time, and that caught my attention more than anything else.
Have you spoken to him more recently?
You know, that stuff, you know, sort of stays private. Roger always tells, you know,
Okay, no, it's
good friends
totally
with
fine.
Roger. And so, yeah, but, you know, Roger said, look, you know, you got to keep everything, you know, with those people,
Yeah.
with
No,
those
I get it,
friends.
especially with anything with Trump, because even small, I feel like private conversation that means absolutely nothing, and the media will blow it out of.
Yeah, right. They go crazy. That's one thing that's interesting. You know, the
Yeah,
media is terrible. The media is terrible. You know, I got in now. It's actually, to be honest, like some of them aren't that bad, but I don't know if it's the media or just like I guess the media is bad for making you focus on things, making people
yeah,
focus on things that don't really matter.
yeah,
You know, I got running for office, and the media's been pretty good to me. I have to say thus far. I think they like me. Even the people on the left, I think they like me because they know. You know, I run a company. I'm a fairly proficient person. I can run
yeah,
things, but these people. I don't know if it's the media or if it's like just the political creatures that have relations with the media. Like they get
yeah,
people things that just really don't matter. You know, just non-issues instead of
yeah,
I like the other day. You know, for example, the other day, the president called Tim Walz a retard. And
yeah.
you know, and then did you see the girl? And she said, She said, you used a really offensive word the other day, retard. She goes,
Yeah.
and I said, well, first of all, it's not an important topic.
Yep.
Secondly, she just used the word. So if it's really such an offensive
Yep.
word, why didn't she
Why
say,
did she?
why did she use it? She should have said the R word. Right? Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't repeat it. I would have just said, hey, the other day you used a really offensive word that I'm not going to repeat because it's so offensive. But she
Yeah.
actually said the word. So
Yeah.
it's a big show, right? It's like what changes in America, whether we have that conversation or we don't have that conversation. Does anything really change? There's big issues, and I think the big issue that I support the president on more than anything was like the pieces, with people dying, right? We have big issues. Like for me, a big issue is like all the people dying, like the Ukraine war,
Yeah.
people dying for no reason, lots of people at the border. I talked about in my congressional speech, I'm running for Congress now, and I just did my rollout. Last week I talked and I said, people don't know this, but open borders causes mass rape. It causes incredible amounts of rape to happen, hundreds of thousands of rapes and people don't get it. They say, well, the rape would have happened either way, just would happen in other countries. No, what happens is when people cross the border illegally, they get separated from their family. They're unprotected, and people prey on them. As you're crossing, these young girls, when they cross by themselves and they don't have a protector with them, like a big brother or their dad or a friend, and they're out in the middle of nowhere, right, with bad people, pretty much gangsters that are helping them
Yeah.
cross illegally, those gangsters that are involved in illegal human smuggling rape the pretty ones. And so the women get
Yeah.
raped like crazy. Literally hundreds of thousands of rapes happen. And people don't know this either. When the women fight back, a lot of times, because it's common to cross without your ID. So if you get grabbed, they can't even identify you. So they tell the women to cross without their ID. So women cross without their ID, they get raped because they know they're totally unprotected. They're told, and then if the women fight back and hit the guy, they kill him. Some of these women
Yeah.
they just kill him. And women go missing all the time on the border. They just get shot or they get hit in the back of the head with a rock or whatever, and then they just leave their body.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
happens all the time. And so, the Democrat, people will focus the country on like, let's discuss the fact that President Trump used a supposedly offensive word, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of women are being raped,
Yeah.
or or the transgender situation with kids, and they go after kids, right, with the transgenderism. I don't really care what an adult does, but don't go marketing castration to little kids. They go after impressionable young kids. There's a really good article in the New York Post a few weeks ago saying that I don't know if it's Iran or Iraq, one of those countries. They're going after the gays now, and they're getting them. They're transitioning the gays into the opposite gender to say you're not gay, you're just the wrong gender, right? But really, they're just
Mhm.
taking away their humanity.
Yeah.
And they said, ironically, if you think about it, they said, ironically, the far right in some of these countries is doing the same thing that the far left is doing in America. The far left in
Yeah.
America is marketing the idea of castration.
Yeah.
It's through chemicals, through drugs, right? Other through hormonal castration or actual castration. We do 4,000 castrations a year in America, where we actually
That's
just
crazy.
genitals. I mean, sorry, of men, right? And women
Yeah.
do things too and whatnot. That's irreversible damage. So we talk about worse, sticks and stones. Like President Trump uses a supposedly offensive word, and it's sticks and stones, but it's not
Yeah.
sticks and stones when we market castration to young kids, and some of them fall for it. I know parents that some of them think they're doing the right thing by promoting this to their kids. They hear the propaganda and they fall for it, and next thing you know, you have a kid that changes gender.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like every single one of these issues that you brought up, I mean, the rape stuff that's happening at the border, and the with the whole transgender stuff that's going on. So by the way, I don't know if you know this, I'm immigrant myself. I moved here around 2014, and
Hmm.
I was in California, and the very first thing I noticed moving to the United States, American people are some of the nicest people that I've ever met.
Hmm.
And I don't think most American people know this about themselves, but the rest of the world that's trying to get here, the rest of the third world, even people from India, all that's trying to get here, they know this about Americans. So they're very nice, they're very empathetic. And majority of them they use into their advantage. Like, how can we use their empathy against us? And when I look at I don't want to say the Democratic Party, mostly just the liberals, the people who vote the left. A lot of them, like a lot of my friends, they generally are good people. They're just very empathetic to the point it has become we're like committing suicide as a nation in the name of empathy. And the people that are coming into our country, they absolutely don't care. They know they can do that because they have the media on their side to protect them. And
Well,
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
I mean,
know.
you know,
It's just crazy.
and like I like to be, I am empathetic, right? I'm an empathetic American, I guess. So, you know, but like a lot of empathetic Americans don't understand, illegal immigration is hurting immigrants.
Yeah,
You know, because what people don't realize, it's obvious, but nobody talks about it, is
yeah,
let's say you get here illegally. First of all, if you're a woman and you come here illegally by yourself without the protection of your brother or a male friend or your father, you're probably getting raped, right? So you may
yeah,
get, you know, 80% chance you're getting raped if you're not protected. So that's great, right? That's not good. That's number one. Number two is let's say you get here, you get raped in the process, you don't ever get to go home again. So now if you get here and you don't
yeah,
like it and you come here illegally, the people that come here illegally, they never get to go home again. So as empathetic Americans, we take for granted that we get to go on airplanes and travel the world and do different things.
yeah,
These people don't get to do that. If you come here legally, you get to go back and see your family. And who really wants, you know, Democrats, they talk about temporary family separation at the border. They say, oh, Donald Trump separated people for a little while, right? Temporary family. That's temporary for a week, right? But the reason he's separating them is because a lot of the men that are coming over are smuggling children. These aren't, they say, I'm the dad of this child. It's not even the real dad. It's a
yeah,
gangster that's smuggling a child. So there's temporary human separation in order to protect the kids, and they do fake tears about it. But the Democrats cause permanent family separation because every single person that comes over here illegally is permanently separated from their family, pretty much forever. They pretty much
yeah,
are now going to live and never get to see grandma and grandpa ever again. And the
yeah,
grand and I got to meet a lot of these people because I lived in Mexico for a while, and
yeah,
grandma and grandpa suffer from this. They don't. What grandmother and grandfather wants to say goodbye to their grandkids forever, and
yeah,
aunts and uncles say goodbye forever. They never get to see each other again. Maybe if they get lucky in 20 or 30 years, you
yeah,
know, get to reunite. I think we should have, you know, sensible legal immigration. The good thing about legal immigration is you get to go back and see your family again. And we
yeah.
also have more sensible tourist. The tourist visa situation is insane. You know, we were very tough on tourist visas. People don't understand that either. We're very, you
Like
know,
you're saying we used to be really tough, but now we're not.
no, we're very tough on it. People that want to
Yeah,
come here on the airplane, like if you want to cross the border illegally and get raped, you can do that all day, right?
I know, I
But if
know.
you want to go from Mexico and just go to Disneyland, because there are people in Mexico that have money, and if you
Yeah,
want to leave and come here for a week, which a lot of them want to do. I mean,
yeah,
everyone. There are a lot of people in other parts of the world that only want to come to America for a week and
yeah,
See Disney World, go to Florida, go to New York City. A lot of people only want to come here for a week,
yeah,
and we won't give them the tourist visa, and
yeah,
that's hurt, right? And so we let people go. You know, the Democrat idea of immigration is encourage them to come illegally through the border and get raped and killed and
yeah.
smuggled, right? That's cruel. So they, you know, they're empathetic,
It
but they
is.
don't understand what they're causing. They're causing a lot of pain.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, reasonable people that just want to come for a week to go to Disney World can't do it.
yeah, yeah. What it sounds like. So I have a personal experience with the tourist visa because before I moved here permanently, my family applied for a tourist visa for me and my mom. We didn't get it. We didn't get it twice.
They were very hard.
Um, Very, very, very hard to come here on a tourist visa. And like you said, there are wealthy people around the world. They want to come to the United States on a tourist visa because their kids just wants to go to Disneyland or they want to go visit the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. They just can't come in. Meanwhile, you can just walk right in an open border and do whatever you want. It just it is pretty insane.
Just
And do you?
logically, yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say
Yeah,
logic. Like people that have money to buy an airplane ticket and buy a hotel are not really at risk of becoming problematic illegal immigrants. Like
right.
nobody really wants to real. So like for example, you know, a good friend of mine in Mexico runs a boxing gym. He'd love to come. He applied. He couldn't get the tourist visa. He doesn't want to move here. People don't
Yeah.
really want to leave their home country once they have a nice life.
Right. Right.
Once you have your job and your family, you tend to want to stay where you're located. You don't really want.
Right.
So the people that have resources to buy plane tickets and hotels, they want to come here for a week. Now, there will be people that try to take advantage of that, but yeah, but the people that cross illegally, that are willing to, I mean, people literally walk for days, if not weeks. People that come from South America
Yeah. Yeah.
are walking, and they get on buses and they just walk and walk and walk, and it takes
Yeah.
them a month to get here, and they lose 40 pounds in the process. And by the time they get here, they're skin and bones. And some of them die along the way. I've some of them die. Some of them,
Yeah.
they walk through terrain that's not safe at times. They sprain their ankle, they break their
Yeah.
leg, they fall off a cliff. People think this is a joke, but it's not.
It's not. No,
They
it's not.
and then they get robbed on the way because they're unprotected. Like I saw, like when I talked about the raping once, I had a Democrat say, "Oh, so what does it matter if we stop them coming here? They'll just get raped in their home country because the rapists shouldn't." No, that's not the case. They're getting raped because they're unprotected. They're not.
Yeah.
They're getting raped and robbed, and when bad people see desperate people walking across countries for weeks at a time, they have their jewelry with them because they're trying to train. They have to come with money. They get
Yeah.
robbed if they don't get in, and then they end up coming here with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
don't know what they're going to get when they get here. So then they get here and they want to go back, but they get asylum, and then they can't go
Yeah.
back because so yeah, that's the reality of that topic.
Yeah. So I interviewed off the, off the camera and the audio, few people that have come illegally. They actually came here from India. One of the things that I don't know if our government knows this, but quite a few people that I've interviewed. So I asked them, like, hey, explain me the whole journey, right? So one of them, uh, they paid money to an agent in India, and that agent paid money to a different agent who was in Mexico, which is basically a cartel member.
Yeah,
And and they were shipped off in the bottom of where they throw the garbage in like a freight ships. So they for a whole month they said they were in the garbage where the garbage, and that's how they ate food. And the ship docked up in Mexico, and from there the cartel member picked him up and they basically helped him cross the whole thing. And one of them even told me that a cartel member told him basically like, yeah, because by the way, just want you to know, they pay a lot of money.
oh
Like
yeah,
some of the people that I've talked to, they have their whole life savings, and I'm talking in dollars. Like one person told me like over $120,000. They pay them to these cartel members, and then these cartel member, what I've been told a lot of the time, they use that money to buy ingredients from China to make fentanyl. Then they ship fentanyl
yeah.
to so not only it's bringing in all the rape people or the worst kind of people, but it's also killing a lot of Americans here
Yeah.
in the
By the
US.
way, people that are like taking immigrant money to make fentanyl have no issue also killing these people and raping them.
Right, right.
We don't care. These are hardcore criminals that are involved in the human smuggling. They're not nice
Yeah,
people without the goodness of their hearts.
they're not. And I just it boggles my mind. I am pretty sure like the government and the Democratic Party government, they know these facts, and there's no way they don't know like all the stuff that's happening at the border, and they just choose to not talk about them. um, and the media is always on their side. It just boggles my mind. And another question I have for you, which one of the things I actually disagree with President Trump on this, the issue of H-1B. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a tough one. Like I think it's a tough one in terms of tech, in terms of
Yeah,
the talent for tech at times isn't here. It's not. It's just not. A lot of tech, by the way, are very left people. So
I know they
the tech
are.
people are very far to the left in America. When I say tech, I'm talking about programmers. We have more engineers, so like engineering talent tends to be here, mechanical, electrical, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Programming talent that we have here tends to be very far left. That's why we ended up with the situation we had with Facebook and Google and Twitter censoring everybody because they hired all of them.
yeah,
They had their American far left staff. It's a tough one, but it's a tough one. that's a tough one. I don't have a strong opinion on it because
Yeah.
it's a tough one. I was no, sorry, I do have a strong opinion on it in this regard.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared for
Yeah.
this question. So
No, no, no. It's totally fine. Yeah, I
no, I will say this. I will say this, and even I will say this. No, okay. Again, nobody really wants to relocate, right? So I don't think the H-1 is so necessary in this for this reason. Like you can hire these people and they can work from their home countries. Nobody like,
yeah.
right? So I, as an American tech person, understand the struggle of hiring American tech talent, mostly because a
Yeah.
lot of them so far left are difficult. They're difficult to work with.
Yeah.
They try to inject their far left. They think they're like activists at times. So we have that.
Yeah.
You can hire. So there is a need at times to hire people that aren't American. Um,
Yeah.
they don't need to come to America. And I don't think we should necessarily push to make them come, because some people, like I said, I think there's a little bit of an arrogance with America at times saying everybody wants to come here and everybody has to come here. Um,
Yeah.
Other countries are fine too. In fact,
Yeah.
like constantly sucking people out of other countries is hurting the rest of the world. So
Yeah.
I think as far as the H1 goes, I do think people in America have to be realistic that sometimes, we all can work together to make a better world. Um, my engineering team, my hardware engineering team, sorry,
Bless
my
you.
hardware engineering team, I have a great hardware engineer. I make my own machines.
Yeah.
And my hardware engineers are in Italy because machine engineering is in Italy. Like, there's not really a culture of machine engineering in New York. But in Italy, there's a cult. It's a country, particularly Pisa, is like it's a region that's known for machine engineering. So there's a lot of engineers there. Those machine engineers make machines that I use in America and create jobs in America. Let's be realistic. Most of the printing world, Epson and Brother, are two of the top printing companies. They're both
Yeah.
Japanese companies. So stuff in Japan, we get printers made by Japanese engineers that American companies buy, install in America, and it creates American jobs. So I think there's nothing wrong. We have to all work together as a world to make a better world for each other. And people that
Yeah.
are talented in other parts of the world can help America. As far as the H-1B goes, like I think, yeah, you have to be realistic. We do need talent. But at the same time, I'm not sure if the H-1B is always necessary because some of these people can just, some of these huge companies, for example, Microsoft, Tesla, right? LinkedIn, these companies that go crazy for the H-1Bs.
Yeah.
Why don't they just create offices in these other countries instead of
Yeah. Yeah.
it's I've never used it. I can tell you this. I've never used H-1B at my company. I've always kept my people in their home country and they like that. I've never actually really had a person that really wanted to. Once they get a good salary, they don't want to move anymore, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
best. One thing I don't do is I don't take advantage of the regions. So I don't say, well, you're in a poor country, so you get a poor salary. I pay one salary, doesn't matter where you're located, um, in what part. So people that are living in less affluent countries that work for me get American wages and they don't want to leave. They want to stay in their home country. I think if I
Yeah.
told them, hey, I want you to come here on H-1B visa, they might quit. They might say, I'm,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, a lot of people. So yeah, I think we need to work with people all over the world. Um, Businesses in other parts of the world benefit America. Talent in other parts of the world benefit America. I think this we need to import people is a little bit oversold because people can work remotely now from
Yeah.
whole pandemic where the whole world worked remotely for almost a year, right? So you can either have people working remotely or you can establish offices. And if you're bringing in people by the hundreds, why don't you just establish an office?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can establish a European office, an Indian office, whatever you need to do.
Yeah. I think that's a really good argument, I would say. Okay.
What was
I
your
have few
take? Sorry, what was your take? You're
what
full.
was well, this was my take. I looked at the numbers of the H-1B that were we were letting in every single year, and it was around 85,000 applicants every year. And I don't know if you saw, there's Democratic Congress people, they just put in a bill to increase that number almost like double, which to me is insane. And I, when I moved to the US and moved, to San Francisco area, and I had a lot of friends, a lot of them who were going for a computer science engineering degree. And I feel like at that point, about 6, 7 years ago, they were still getting jobs. And I now know people that are in, going in for computer science degrees or graduated with computer science degrees. They can't find any jobs. And then I looked up the numbers, like how many computer science engineering people every year are graduating from colleges. And if you look at the number and you see how many applications for H-1B we're accepting, and I'm like, I think that number is really too high. We need to prioritize the the kids that are graduating with those degrees to
You're
them.
opposed, you're not a fan of increasing H-1Bs.
I'm not a fan of increasing H-1B visa at all. I do think I again, I think
I,
there's a
I, I can
place for H-1B.
follow President Trump's on the issue. I was a little surprised that Elon went so aggressively on the issue. You know,
Yeah.
I take his I understand the need for talent. You want to work with people all over the world. So if there's a genius person from another part of the world, that's great. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I have very, very talented Italian engineers that work for me that stay in Italy. I opened the they don't want to move here. Imagine trying to
Yeah.
convince many Italian engineers to relocate to America. They don't really want to do that. They want to be
Yeah.
in Italy. So that the great thing about it, I think, is they have a unique skill that I can't find in America. They know how to
Yeah.
build machines, really great machines, and I get to do things that others can't do because I built these machines.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. They're benefiting, helping make Italy better because now we got some really great jobs in Italy. But they're sending machines to America. They're also creating jobs in America, and we all get to work together. And I think that's great. So yeah, I've never used the H-1B. I've never even tried to use it, and yeah. So I'm sort of opposed. I'm understanding of the need for talent, and you want to work, and I would never not want to let a good person benefit America
Yeah.
just be from another country. But at the same time, I will say I don't think. Yeah, I think the obsession with H-1B is a little too much. I was a little surprised Elon didn't say what I'm saying, which is it's great. It's how I believe in having talent all over the world, but at the same time, you can create. There's obvious work. If you have as much money as Elon has, for example,
Yeah.
you can easily create a foreign office,
Yeah.
right? Or you can
Absolutely.
people work from home. You can easily create a foreign office if you really need to get
Yeah.
talent in other parts of the world.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. I mean, Apple is doing that now. I think they have, or Microsoft and Google, they're all building their offices like like India campus. I know they're doing that. Have you talked to Elon?
I've only seen him, ironically. I've never. You're not supposed to admit what happens and how it happens, but we didn't get into conversation. But I can say he was sitting at the table next to me a number of times, and the funniest thing of all was, I go to the inauguration,
Yeah,
and I got pretty good tickets to the inauguration, and I'm waiting in line to get in, and I didn't even know. Right behind me the whole time was Elon, like literally right behind me,
that's
and I didn't
wild.
know until security came. And it was the funniest thing was it was so weird. It was the Google. It was like Larry and Sarah. It was Sergey Brin. It was all these all the all they were all there. We were all in line, freezing. It was so cold
Yeah,
because there's security too. You can't just go. You have to go through this whole security process. You're freezing cold.
yeah,
Elon's literally the person right behind me. I didn't
that's
know
wild.
security came. I don't know the Secret Service or whatever, and they said, Mr. Musk, come with us. And then I noticed he was right. And they actually so he cut the line, and it was funny because you had all these other big shots, going
Yeah, yeah,
and they're like, sorry, your money doesn't matter today. I mean, I guess it matters
yeah.
to go to the inauguration. You get to come to the party, but you don't get to cut the line. Only Elon gets to cut the line.
Only that's pretty wild. That is pretty
It was
wild.
funny. It was very interesting standing in line to the bathroom line. It was funny. We did porta potties, we're supposed to like, hey, I gotta use the restroom, and there's the line up of porta potties, and it's just like this, just yeah, I was right in line with the CEO, the founders of Google. There, one of the founders of Google was right. It was right in line with me. I was like, and then the OpenAI guy who was there.
Sam out. Yes, that's hilarious. And they're all just waiting, no money matters. You're all using porta potties.
No money matters. Like we all are using money today. There's no, you know,
That is very funny.
we're all using porta.
Um, so how has your life changed ever since? I feel like you basically been in the politics ever since that email. Okay, so how has life changed since then and now that you're running for a Congress?
Yeah, politics is a different life. I would say it's not for everybody. So
Yeah.
have more respect for politicians now that I'm doing it myself. It's actually a pretty hard job. Unfortunately, many of them are just aren't good people. I think it attracts because it is a pretty hard job,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty demanding job. Like a lot of smarter people, like probably would go towards something like a CEO type job, or I don't know. There's other jobs that are, if you're really smart, are more lucrative. Like it's just a better return on your money and time, and you get to enjoy your life more and do more stuff. Like being a CEO was a pretty easy job. You get a lot of free time, a lot of flexibility. So if you're pretty smart, like using your mental energy towards politics, is pretty tough. So it's a tough job.
Yeah.
So I give him respect in that regard. But yeah, but it's also not a nice world. It's just like the
It's
weird
a
thing is,
nasty world.
and it's full of people because if you do anything for a really long time, you kind of get stuck in it. So it's full of people that really only know how to be politicians and like really only know politics. And
Yeah.
so they're very protective. They don't want new entrants. And I think that's what happened to President Trump when he got
Yeah.
involved. It was all this club of lifelong politicians, and they were like, he's not one of us. Get him out because if he wins, we're gonna have to deal with more of him in the future. More guys like him are gonna get involved, and they might take away our gravy train. And
Yeah.
so, I'm dealing with that. And since I got in. So, yeah, on one hand, I respect the politicians. They do it. It's a tough job. On the other hand, there's a lot of really bad people in the political
Yeah.
world that sell total lies to the public because they just don't want outsiders getting in because they know, like I said, if I get in and I tell people, hey, you should do this too, and we get another CEO saying, hey, maybe I'll do that, right? It's an interesting thing to do. I think I wanted, it's interesting to do once you've already made it, right? And I think the best, I tell people this all the time, like, I didn't understand this myself because you're like, oh, you want these good natured people. Good natured people are just going to get eaten alive in politics. It doesn't exist. You really do want, and I think, people could disagree, but I really think you do want self made, well off people getting
Yeah.
involved in politics. You say, well, so what? We're going to have a political system only ran by rich people. I mean, you kind of want that because the rich people are the only ones that can use their conscience because they don't need money anymore. So
Yeah.
if you're really well off and you make the decision to get involved in politics, those only the Elons and the Trumps and people like me can get involved and say I'm not in this looking for money. Everyone else is looking for
Yeah.
money. Everyone else is, oh, I'm
Yeah.
a good person. I want to make a difference. Then they get involved and they find out it costs an insane amount of money to get involved. You basically have to have a budget to market yourself to get a lot of votes, which isn't cheap. I mean, to win like mayor doesn't cost a lot, but to win congressman or senator or governor or president costs a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And
know,
one of the things I just want to let the audience know, Anthony, you're fully self-funded. You're running this
yeah,
the Congress race, right? And you already sort of touch upon that a little bit, but it does give you freedom to, speak your mind on things that you actually believe in versus pleasing your donors.
correct. Because I don't have to talk to any donors. And I
Yeah.
learned this really early on. I didn't have any investors at Stickermule because I didn't want people, because I know as soon as you take investors, they're going to have an opinion. You have to answer
Yeah.
for each your investor.
Yeah.
Earlier in life, I never had investors, but I did have to deal with a bank. I didn't even like dealing with the bank because the bank's like, hey, we have a loan outstanding with you and we think you should do this with your business. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Well, we have a loan outstanding with you. I mean, and like they think they deserve to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And obviously, if somebody cuts you a check for anything over $50, but even if anyone that gives you, they think, yeah, hey, I give you this, I deserve to talk to you. I get to give you my opinion. I get to, lobby for things that I want to lobby for. And
Right.
it's just a waste of time. It's also just wasted time talking to donors. Most of what politicians do, and it's the other thing, it's crazy,
Yeah.
right? When I get in, they go, he's an outsider. What's he going to do? I go, I built 1,000-person company. I know how to do
Yeah.
things. I just know how to get things done in general. What most politicians do all day? And they're like, oh, these are great people, great patriotic people that love the country. They're public servants that are serving the country. Yeah, 80% of what they do is they run around going to dinners to get money. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
much the main function of most politicians is going to dinners and trying to get money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Talking to owners and trying to get money. Try to get money. 80% of their energy is directed towards trying to get money. 20% of their energy is directed towards trying to do things that are useful for the country. But they waste so
Yeah.
much time just trying to get money. Most of them aren't even that. They don't even have the brain power, the skill set to figure out how to do anything useful for the country. So even if they use that 20% energy to try to do something helpful for the country, they're too stupid to even figure out how to do anything. But on the outside looking in, the political world tries to sell to the country that like we're the elites that know how to do things that you don't know how to do. They're just people that anyone that does anything for a long time is gonna appear to be reasonably good at it. So if
Yeah.
you know do carpentry for 5 years, you're gonna be a reasonably good carpenter. If you do car mechanics for 5 years, you're gonna be a reasonably good car mechanic. If you sing for a while, you're gonna get reasonably good at singing. Um, if you're in politics for
Yeah.
10 years, you're gonna understand the political system better than an outsider.
Yeah.
So and then they sell to the outsiders. We're superhuman elites that know how to take care of you better than you know how to take care of yourself. And really, most of them aren't that smart. I think President
Yeah.
Trump saw that, and that's why he decided
He
to run.
saw that.
I think he saw these people are morons, and I'm saying
Yeah.
the thing. I mean, I met, the smartest person I've met in politics, and also the nicest person I met is Roger Stone. I mean, well, there's the president,
Hmm.
Elon, but I mean, in terms of me having regular contact with, uh,
Yeah.
Roger Stone's a very smart person. He's also a very nice person. He's a very honest person, and I'll say this really quickly, like with people like me or Roger, I have a reputation for being a pretty tough talker. And Roger's brand is that he's not that nice. He's pretty tough as well.
Yeah.
But like with me and Roger, what you see is what you get. And Roger's, in reality, we're exactly what you see or nicer. Right? I'm not more
Hmm.
mean than what you see. Like, so like if you see me and I'll insult people, I'll talk trash, I'll say whatever. You have a funny,
Yeah.
and I'll say, but I'm not. I'm in real life. I'm that person or nicer, right? And Roger's the same. Roger's what you see you see the worst, and in reality, he's that or nicer. But these
Yeah.
people that are in politics that smile and never do anything bad in public and never say anything, they never use a bad word, they never attack, they just seem like the nicest people in the world. Those people are experts at being total scumbags when no one's looking at them. They're so nasty. So
Yeah.
that's the best you see. In reality, they're much worse.
They're like it's almost like trained actors. That's what it
Yeah,
feels like, at least to me.
yeah, they're trained actors. So like I said, yeah, the people like the President Trump or me or Roger or we're what you see or nicer. The people that know
Yeah.
President Trump say he's like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But what he shows his tough guy image, and that's the worst he gets. He might insult people, right? And
Yeah.
he'll run his mouth and he'll say make goofy jokes.
Yeah.
And I'll do similar things. Roger will do similar. Elon will do similar things. But like when you meet us,
Yeah.
people, the ones that are like perfect actors all the time, that act like they're the nicest people in the world, behind the scenes, they're scheming to do the worst things you can imagine.
Yeah.
They're very
Yeah.
nasty people. I said, be careful of people that are experts at being fake nice. Those people are vicious.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Very, 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 very well said. I know we're kind of short on time. There's few more questions that I have for you. So you're running for Congress in the New York's 21st district. It's actually out of. I thought it was my district too because I'm in Buffalo area, but it's not. I'm like, dang, I didn't get to vote for you. So,
Well, you can vote.
um, yeah, but yeah. Anyways, but so what are the top three things that you want to tackle in your district?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I like prioritization. So, like nationally, if you were to prioritize, like, or globally, right? Globally is like people not dying, right? We want peace in the world.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It's like in business, you have to prioritize. And I think politicians don't know how to do that at times. So, you have to, like, so globally, it's like you don't want people dying.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you also don't want, like, the women and getting raped and killed at the border in large numbers, right? That's like a really big problem. Transgenderism is, if you have to prioritize, is a really big problem. Transgenderism amongst children is a really big problem. Within my district, the top priority, I think you want to go for things that are big wins. So we have a problem with cell service, believe it or not. We have terrible cell service. I drive around the district, the phone calls drop.
mm,
Yeah. So if you look at my district, like the big win is, cell service, internet. We actually don't have great internet yet in my district. So
what do you guys have in regards to the company?
we just need more cell towers.
Okay.
And then there's difference, yeah, but we need better broadband, throughout the district so we can get people out enjoying the internet economy. You can't even
Yeah.
live in the internet business or just remote workers. You want to be able to enable remote workers. So that
Hmm.
that's a big one. Affordability is the big topic now, but affordability. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say one of the things you mentioned. I was watching your speech earlier. I think a few days ago you did the speech. I feel like, right? Yeah. You mentioned something about Fort Drum.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't really understood it, so I just wanted to ask you something you wanted to do for Fort Drum.
Yeah, Congresswoman Stefanik started a missile defense system. President Trump calls it the Iron Dome. So she started the project of putting in a missile defense system, and we want to get that done too, because
Okay.
peace through strength. We want strong defense systems so people know not to mess with us, and it gives us a
Yeah.
stronger negotiating hand. So that I think that's an obvious win for the country that benefits the district as well because it creates jobs. But it's just an obvious win for the country. Like war is very expensive, and
Yeah.
peace is very lucrative because economies perform better when people aren't nervous about getting blown up. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
peace is a really good investment. But yeah, we want internet, cell service, peace, affordability. We want to keep the border shut.
Yeah.
Towards drugs is a big problem. We get a lot of drugs coming through, and people
Yeah.
and illegal cigarettes coming through, stuff like that. So yeah, and then nobody likes the solar farms. The solar farms are taking over in New York State. I hate the solar farms.
Yes, I do. So I drove all the way from here to went to go see my friend in Vermont. And on my way, the amount of solar farms, I'm like, I was not expecting this at all in the middle of New York,
Yeah,
the amount of solar farms I saw. So that's funny you brought that up. Why that is, what's going on with that?
it's just the Democrats scamming to get money. It's a scam to get money. People that they have friends with, they scam and they get money off these things. And by the way, a lot of those solar panels come from China, and the return
Yep.
is terrible. I would never put them on my main building, but it's just a scam to get money. Um,
Yeah.
and they pretend they sell to their voters because their voters are big-hearted. They're empathetic, and so they say, "Oh, we're gonna help. We're gonna save the environment. These fossil, we're gonna with solar panels." And I think solar is fine. You just have to use it in a place that makes sense, like on a rooftop,
Right.
right? Like
Yep.
so it's like if you put a solar panel on a rooftop, you lose nothing,
Yeah.
right? Because the roof's going to be there one way or another, and might as well have, and if you can get
Right.
a decent return solar panel or like Elon solar roofs, which actually improve
Yeah.
the durability of your roof, so you're getting a double benefit, more durable roof solar. That's great.
Yeah.
But when you're destroying farmland, which is a scarce resource for solar panels, it's just
Yeah.
there's money.
It absolutely make no sense.
It's unbelievable. The guy running against me on the Republican side, who never endorsed Trump, imagine that. So we got a guy running on the Republican side, never endorsed President Trump. This is totally insane. He's actually profiting off the solar stuff. He actually had a big chunk of land, and I guess he got a deal, and he leased his land out to a solar company. He's getting a big check every month for solar, and he's under Republican.
Hmm. He's in a Republic. Okay. I don't know who he is. I'm definitely gonna look him up. Uh,
So I have to.
few more.
Yeah, I got one more question, and I got to run because it's getting late.
Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I have a question. Do you think, and I asked this because you grew up in working class, you worked hard to build your company, Stickermule. So my question is, do you think the far left politicians like AOC, Zohran Mamdani, do you think they actually understand the working class New Yorkers?
No, but I think the Republican hasn't been effective at countering him other than President Trump. But no, I don't think they understand. I mean, AOC is a total fake that's making money
Yeah,
off of politics. Zoran Mondami's another fake. We don't really know what he's about, but I can tell you they're both. Well, Zoran's a trained actor. Zoran is an actor.
he's actually a trained actor. Yeah,
Yeah, so I talked about that. He actually is a trained actor. So he cries, but he got trained to do that. He's
yeah,
like, I'm so and she learned acting skills. So they're two fakers. They're obviously profiting handsomely off the political situation and what they're saying. But I talked about it in my speech. I called her AOC's a traitor to the Latin world. I mean,
yeah.
championing
There's
all
speech.
this. She's championing all this illegal immigration,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's causing massive harm to the Latin world, and it's like I said, it's caused hundreds of thousands of rapes, women
yeah,
being murdered, and it's hurting the Latin world because we're
yeah,
causing turmoil, right? It's very destabilizing for Central and
yeah,
South America. That instead of saying, "Hey," because instead of saying, "Hey, you actually have nice countries, stay home if you can," all that energy, like you said, people save up all their money, all that energy and money that you're planning on bringing to them, and that you're planning on using to come here illegally, take that same effort and put it into your own country, and you're probably going to get a decent return. And it'll
yeah,
be better for the world. And it'll be better for all these countries. Illegal immigration is very destabilizing for Central and South America. And so when she promotes it, not only is she causing hundreds of thousands of rapes, and she knows she's causing it, which
yeah,
means, total. I called her, a word that's not so nice, but, she's not a good person.
yeah, yeah.
But she's also
Um,
turmoil in the Latin world. So Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just which breaks my heart so much. They use a lot of Hispanic people or the Asian people. It's like a token, or black people. It's like, oh, it's like a token we can use to basically say anything they want, so they'll vote for us,
Yeah.
which is very, very, very sad. And
Well, I
but
speak Spanish better than she does, so I can impress her on that topic pretty easily.
yeah, she's definitely is a fake Latina, especially when she said she grew up in Bronx or
She
something
can't speak
along the line.
Spanish interview once, and she was terrible.
That's
But
crazy. But hey, Anthony, I can't thank you enough giving me the chance to do this. I was telling you, hey, I only have like 60 followers, but I really appreciated that you come and did this interview. So really appreciate you. And
support
I
since
w
day one.
yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll do this again. And I don't know, man, I know you're very busy, but yeah, thank you.
Cool. I hope all the everyone watching enjoys. So thanks so much for
All
coming.
right. All
All
right,
right.
Anthony. Bye. Thank you.